Hello, everyone. Azu here. Steven Universe has finally come to an end. I already went over the original show's plot and where it lacked, but I typed up that script before Steven Universe Future finished. Now that it has, I'd like to share my thoughts. Most shows I watched, I have become emotionally invested in. I'm usually in absolute tears at the ending, whether they be tears of sadness, of joy, or even anger. So many of my friends were tearing up at the ending, but I felt nothing. Literally nothing. I've never been so bored in my life. Oh my god. That was the most anticlimactic, rushed, sloppy ending I've ever seen. And it hurts me to say this, but okay, you know what? I'm sorry, Rebecca. Steven stopped holding back, so I'm not holding back. When the original show ended, I thought Steven Universe was officially over. It was so unbelievably rushed, I was numb and sad. But then I found out there was a movie and even a sequel series. But then I found out it was a time skip. Oh no. In my experience, most major time skips in series are a big mistake. It gives the writers an excuse to make the characters pull decisions that are a complete 180 from their original personalities. They can just shove plot lines into existence prior without showing the audience. The point being, time skips are an excuse. Things can be changed or rushed without any explanation other than, it's a time skip. It's basically telling the audience to fill in the blanks when some of those blanks could potentially be plot holes that we can't fill in. So I went into Steven Universe Future very skeptical. Steven basically became principal of a gem-oriented school, kind of like what some of the storyboarders had foreshadowed in their early promotional material. So this wasn't too far-fetched. Steven Universe Future, right off the bat, was about wrapping up all loose ends. The corrupted gems, Eyeball and Aquamarine, the bubbled rose quartz in the zoo, flushing out previously rushed fusion debuts and catching up with the diamonds, etc. But most of the series was centered around Steven and his trauma. Almost this entire season was building up to his corruption. I knew it, you knew it, we all knew it. And unfortunately, the finale didn't deliver, as expected. We had over 19 episodes. 19 episodes until Steven finally cracked. All that buildup, all that trauma, no one was able to reach him, no one could comfort him. He started making extremely brash decisions, like trying to marry Connie at 16 to fix his new fear of independence, trying to avoid himself, destroying his dad's favorite van, judging him for escaping an abusive, unhappy home. It was all trauma he was taking out on his friends and family, but it doesn't make it right or any less messed up. It was very hard to watch because we, the audience, knew the whole time what Steven was suffering from, but we couldn't help him. Steven eventually confronts the diamonds, revealing good and bad are two sides of the same coin, so the diamonds are getting in touch with their good side, meanwhile Steven is boiling in his bad side. He goes home, only to go into denial, only to finally submit to his feelings of evil. I gotta say though, seeing him finally break down was such a treat. I was at the edge of my seat when he said this.
And maybe I've had a not-so-nice thought or two about, slamming White Diamond's head through a pillar, but it's not like I actually went through with it. I only actually shattered Jasper.
He was revealing to his friends and family that he was slowly turning into a psychopath powerhouse, hell-bent on revenge. He was finally starting to turn after all that build-up. Steven finally succumbs to this and becomes the monster he was brewing, only for said monster to do absolutely nothing. He busts through the front of the house, but just kinda slams his head into the side of the cliff. Like, what? Dude, you said you're a monster, come on. It's the end of the series. You can do whatever you want. You said yourself you can destroy and fix anything. So unleash Godzilla and destroy Beach City already. Poof your friends. Don't just stand there roaring and doing nothing. Also, look at this background. No atmosphere change, no color scheme change. I mean, look at this shot and compare it to these. You see what I'm talking about? It's like all of those memes on the internet about playing the chicken dance song inappropriately to a movie clip about a bunch of people getting tortured. The background just does not fit. Even when clouds pass over them, it just feels like someone just took the clip and slapped a black shaded multiply filter over the lot of them. It's lazy and unappealing. Not to mention the pacing is all off. It's so unbelievably crowded. Everyone is there, one showing up after the other, and then everyone has this ridiculously annoying, cringy cry fest that felt more like, woe is me, rather than actual guilt or fear for Steven.
Why didn't I do something?
If we don't get through to him, he'll stay like this forever.
He's like this because of us.
We're the source of Steven's suffering.
This is my fault.
I can't take this anymore.
Steven! We're gonna delete your save file.
Shut up! Oh my god, I don't care!
And Connie comes in out of nowhere with another speech. You know, it's a little weird how these gems that are literally thousands of years older than Connie are depicted like immature babies whenever she's around. Anyway, everyone runs around and hugs him with no useful advice other than they're there for him. And they all come together in a hug, and magically the conflict is resolved in under 10 minutes. 19 episodes for this? Jasper was left to rot. Pink Pearl never got any flashbacks. We never found out what was in the chest. And Steven didn't actually come to any realizations about his trauma. He was just as lost as he was in the first episode, and he decides to leave Beach City for a gap year tour of the US to try and find himself with no closure. I'm just sitting here with my head in my hands, feeling so utterly bored. Steven said it himself. He's a friggin' god. He can destroy, he can fix both organics and gems. Corruption is solved. The diamonds are on a journey to completely reverse the effects of their damage. There's not a single villain left in the universe to bring anything else to the table. There's literally no conflict left. With no conflict, there's no show. No actions have any long-standing consequences anymore. Steven Universe really ended with the Diamond arc. My expectations were low for the finale, and frankly it delivered just as rushed and solved with hugs as I thought it would be, just like the last few plotlines were. But one thing that really, really bothered me was no send-off song. Cookie Cat doesn't count. Steven Universe's existence was always enveloped in beautiful song. Something sad, something happy, something that would inspire the audience. But we got zip. That shocked me. Also, can I mention Bismuth had a different voice actor in the finale for some weird reason?
Well, Pearl's my TA today, but I guess I could use a wedding expert for my wedding armor crafting demonstration.
Wow, everything's changing. And we're building bases out of wood now? Whose terrible idea was this? And where is everybody else?
That was very noticeable and kind of distracting to me. Everything just feels so off in this finale. Now this just won't do. You want to hear how I would end it? Lights, camera, action! Make the finale twice as long. Steven goes insane. He destroys everything in his path. He might poof gems, hurt people, destroy the town or the temple. Hell, even make the grass fade where he walks. Any of you remember the cluster's concept art? Oh yeah, we're doing this. The diamonds come in much later into the fight, and instead of trying to reinforce their abilities, which they knew weren't working prior, they start to realize the genuine distress they've all caused Steven. They try to reason with him, try to be kind, but Steven can't hear them. So they resort to their violence again, preventing him from harming others, including himself, but to no avail. To their shock, he is overpowering all of them. At this point, Jasper comes in to everyone's shock. She was the one that could match Steven's power for a time. She trained with him. She knows all his moves and mannerisms. She's able to ward him off. She's the cavalry. Each of them come to a short realization throughout the fight about how Steven has helped them. Preferably a short monologue within their heads as we jump from mind to mind. Steven, us weak gems have to stick together, right? With patience that you've given me, I'll give to you, hoping from one possibility to another. I won't let you run from yourself. You're more than just a monster. Come on, Steven, you're more than a small child with big problems. You're our friend, you're our family. My diamond. No. Steven, my son, I love you. And even after all that, the cluster gets involved. Perhaps going to its full strength, becoming as big a monster as Steven is, if not larger. But Steven is faster. He's more agile. A brutal battle rages between the two as the defeated look on in horror as the cluster fails to contain his raw power. And at that moment, all hope seems lost. But then, Greg remembers something. He starts to sing. The others notice and realize this has taken the monster's full attention. Remember when corruption was originally brought about by a song? It's only right. It gets reversed by one. And everyone joins in. Steven is lulled by their words. They circle him, hands held out, open to hug him. They eventually do, and his form recedes, revealing him crying out on the ground as they hum to calm him.
That's what you get for raising me to love music.
Steven suddenly blurts out things on his mind during his mental breakdown. He puts into words his pain, his sorrows, how the diamonds still scare him, how he's upset and doesn't understand his dad's decisions or Connie's contentness with college, or how he feels about his mom. And everyone just smiles and nods in acknowledgement. His rambles fade as we switch to a new scene. He is happier now, still lost, still not sure what exactly he wants to do, and is still a little afraid of his power. But he's talking to his friends and family now again at least, and they all have a goodbye party for him. I might never come back, he tells them. You will, they say, and if you don't, we'll come find you. They tear up and are brought into a hug. Steven drives off into the sunset, but parks at the top of the hill, overlooking Beach City. It's night, but the stars alight the sky with magnificence as Steven pulls out his new guitar. He begins to sing an epic cover reprise of Love Like You as it pans to his vehicle. 3 photos are taped to the top of his sun shader, revealing to be that of the crystal gems with his dad and Connie, the diamonds with Spinel, and the final picture is a smaller version of Rose Quartz's painting he hid away in Lion, revealing his forgiveness to her, truly setting in stone he is ready to move on and think back on her kindly like he once did. And as Steven finishes the line, "Love me like you do," the scene fades to black and Steven Universe ends forever. Now that is a delivery. So yeah, in conclusion, harsh but true. The Steven Universe future ending was cringy, rushed, forced, anticlimactic, and boring. It made me feel nothing, unlike all my friends around me, who frankly I feel are only crying because of the nostalgia or the loss of the show itself, instead of the ending giving it a good send-off, which is unfortunate. Ever since Lars joined the Off-Colors, I feel like Steven Universe started to make some rushed or poor decisions with its episodes and plotlines, and sure enough, it went places it probably shouldn't have. I wish I could cry for the show. I definitely cried during the original show's finale with the diamonds. I thought that was the true ending, and in a way it was. The future series was really just a sequel no one really needed. I feel like the only necessary episode was the one with the diamonds. Everything else was just extra. So I can't bring myself to cry for the show, since technically I already have. Steven Universe gave me a lot of great things, and seeing it go leaves me, for the most part, satisfied. Except for the chest. And Jasper. Don't know what that's about. But frankly, at this point, considering the poor plot wrap up, I doubt it would be worth anything if we did find out. I'm sure whatever problem or revelation it would cause would be solved in less than 10 minutes with a hug like usual. But I digress. And with that, I can finally be satisfied. Something worth shedding tears for. Despite these harsh words, I still love the show with all my heart. Goodbye, Steven Universe. Officially, now. And thank you for everything.
Also, shout out to all my Patreons: Paul Noss, Leggy Miles, Pink Cat, Dennis, Arya, Jesus, Blazing Yob, Tulip Warrior Zero, Cook You, Zusk, Uber Schmuck, and a big thank you to Leo Convoy, Artemis the Falcon, Rhapsody, and Christopher Sansom. Thank you guys so much for supporting me and making this video possible. Can't wait to see you in the next one. Love y'all. Bye bye.